You make me go You make me go You make me go You make me go Oh, salsa. Oh, salsa. Oh, salsa. Oh, salsa. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Crypto Pulse Weekly. We are on daylight savings now, so there will be some discrepancies with timing, especially for people in the Nigeria time zone. So, for this period, which is November till early March, it will be 9 p.m. West African time as opposed to 8 p.m. That it will have been because of daylight saving. So please take notes. I know it's a bit of a change for people in the West African time zone. But we're gonna try it out. The last time we moved back with the time, but this time I want to try out if 9 p.m. is better for people in Nigeria or not. So without much ado, let's get started with the business of today. Like I said in earlier posts or in earlier sessions, I'm going to try as much as possible to limit these sessions to 30 minutes. One, because it's bear market, a lot of people are not interested in what's happening in the market. Two, because 30 minutes make it a little bit more digestible for people. So I'm going to try as much as possible to keep to 30 minutes. Usually we'll talk about one or two things as a theme of the day, and then we'll take questions. So today, actually I have a number of things I wanted to talk about. The first being, of course, the call I gave last week about Dogecoin and Twitter. Shortly after that, I think let's go to Dogecoin just as a diversion. Yeah, so this is the circle here is when I called Dogecoin last week, Friday last week. It was around here, and even at that time, it had done about I think 100% or 70% from yeah, well 35%. It had done 35% from the lows of the week. It had done 35% from the lows of that week when I called it. And the reason I called it then was because, of course, you're aware of Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter and his obsession with Dogecoin. So I just felt, it was going to filter around. And shortly after, it just blew up. That's not to say that it's going to continue to go forever. I think currently is the most oversold it's been since April last year. So I'll be cautious with getting into Dogecoin now. However, yeah, I think I need to put that caveat. However, I didn't want to get into technicals immediately, but just let's do some little exercise here. However, if but let's say it's here. However, if Dogecoin pulls back and does not break, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so if Dogecoin pulls back and does not break this line, which is 0.076, then it's a good entry. It's a good point to get into Dogecoin, as in get into Dogecoin all the way to probably $1. I think if it doesn't get to $1, to get very close to $1 in the next bull run, based on what I'm seeing so far, and that's just of the the hype that will be provided by Elon Musk, and of course he has a community now to drive it. So it's important that people keep in mind that Dogecoin can be a very good entry for people who have shown interest in being part of the working group I mentioned earlier on. I think I'll give you some. I'm not going to give out any calls now until January because I expect that, as I said, November is likely to be a very positive month for the markets, generally speaking. And I think I mentioned this. I'm not sure whether I mentioned it on the call last week or I mentioned it in the WhatsApp group when I said that there is midterm election this month. Historically speaking, the the government and the Fed try as much as possible. The government in power, the government of the day in the US, try as much as possible to make people happy going into the midterms. So because of that, markets usually rally. Historically, markets rally before midterm elections. So this is not an exception. However, once midterm election is over, all that pre-election rally will come to an end, and that's because people will sell off, just like you buy the rumor, sell the people will sell off on the they'll sell off on the news, and then the market will start to tank. Secondly, we were also talking about the DXY, which is the dollar index, and the strength of the dollar index relative to the maneuvering that the US Federal Reserve Bank is doing. Now, because the Federal Reserve Bank is trying as much as possible to mop up the excess money from circulation, and that's increasing the bond yield, DXY has been going strong for a while. But now, DXY has reached it has reached an inflection point. Let me show you DXY just a moment. DXY has reached an inflection point, which also coincides with this midterm rally. So based on that, I expect that. Let me go to the daily time zone. I expect that DXY will retest this level, which is 109 level. If it doesn't break this level, because there's significant demand and supply at this level. If it doesn't break back down at this level, then the final leg of pain for Bitcoin will probably kick in. But if it does break down, then it means that Bitcoin might start to recover from this point. But I will not bet on it. As I said, there's midterm election. Midterm election is coloring, the equities market right now. Everything is booming. You saw the NFP result today. The Fed interest rates, everything that happened this week, the market is still going up. There are only two scenarios where you have where you have that kind of positivity in a bull market, or something else is driving it. In this case, it is the midterm election that's driving it. Once the midterm election is out of the way, believe you me, we will see a blowback. I don't want to use the word blow up. We'll see a blowback, because what it means is everybody will sell off because there is no midterm election. The people want to win as well. So now I think there will be a significant correction. Whether that correction will break below, as I said, the 109 level on the DXY is a totally different ball game. But for now, I think we will most probably have. Today is the 4th of November. For the rest of the month, I think we might have a rally for Bitcoin. Um, Prematurely, I didn't want to go into this chat, but let's go into the chat of Bitcoin since we started talking about the other chats. Um, Bitcoin is broken range to like a sideways consolidation. I don't think we're going to see anything more than 24K, even if we have a very significant rally. And the reasons are obvious. Oh well, they're not obvious. One of them, of course, is because we're in bear markets. The Bank of England just said, they might be going into the biggest recession in 100 years. It might also almost be 2 years. I don't think it will be up to 2 years for US. There will be recession. There is already recession, but the government's not going to announce it. At least the US is not going to announce or talk about anything recession until 2023. When they do say that, of course, the market will crash and then we'll get to the bottom. When we get to the bottom, then we'll start having accumulation over a long period of time. The market just doing 2% up, 1% down, 2% up, 1% down for a while. However, that's the time that the big boys are packing. They're packing up the stuff. And I can give you two examples of how or where that's happened. One is um, I usually get this whale alert on Twitter that talks about very voluminous transactions that happen for different tokens. And I got one this week for Matic. I think it was around $3 million. Somebody bought $3 million worth of, or $5 million, something crazy, worth of Matic. And so the whale alert flagged it on Twitter that somebody just moved some millions of Matic off the exchange. So what that tells me is that people are tactically positioning without making noise. And the reason why Bitcoin has not gone down significantly is because as much as the market's bad and everything, people are also taking up the opportunity, especially institutions, to wake up these things. So what should be our position as as the small fries, as we say? Yeah, just try as much as possible to stack the sats, as they say. You need to accumulate, regardless of what happened in the last bull run. You need to accumulate. Like I always joke that my initial target is that by first quarter of 2023, I will have four jobs, one main one, three side hustles, so that I can accumulate as much as possible. And I mean, being serious now, it's important to understand that the fact that the media and the government and everybody shouting that there's recession doesn't mean that there are no opportunities. How do I mean? You see, in the will I say prehistoric or biblical times, when there is problem like a recession, it means that there's famine, meaning it has not rained, there is no grain, people don't have food to eat. So there's survival crisis essentially. In the modern economy, it is not so because at least let me say three of the top five economies in the world are throwing away so much food and incinerating so much farmers' produce that could feed the world for many years. That's the fact. You can Google it. The US government pays farmers to destroy their crops because they have too much harvest most of the time. So even though they keep shouting food crisis and everything, but on the other hand, they're incinerating food. On another hand, the amount of food that's been wasted in the United States in a single day will feed the entire African continent with leftovers, many leftovers actually, maybe like 1.5 times on that same single day. So food is not the problem here. The problem here is just scarcity of debt. That's what a recession is really. Scarcity of debt. How do I mean? Recession doesn't mean that the people who have money don't have money. The big bags still have the money. The only thing that changes in the recession is one, cost of capital, two, money flow. The money will no longer be flowing as easily as it would because the noise of recession will mean everybody will tighten their purse. Now, during the session, the government will not also spend as they would normally want to spend. So, because the government is not spending, the private sector too will be looking at the government and be like, if the government is not spending, we shouldn't be spending. Let's also keep our money. And if it's highly shady industries like pharmaceuticals, they'll start dumping their profits into their research P and research balance sheet account so that they don't have to declare any profit during this period. So understand that even though there might be recession, there are still opportunities, significant opportunities for personal growth and personal wealth accumulation. Because really and truly, this recession is a reverse engineered recession. How do I mean? The economies are growing. However, there is inflation. So to stop the inflation from destroying the economy eventually, they're killing off the economy by mopping up the monetary supply. That's exactly what's happening. So when the what's this guy, the Fed guy, gave his report on Wednesday, he was saying that they were what was the word that was used? That they were confident or happy with the results of the effects of what they've done. Of course, what they've done is they've choked the equities market by the neck, and everybody has to run to the US dollar for salvation. So of course it works. So they'll probably run it through this next quarter, um, which is the one in January. By the end of January, I think they will stop. By that time, the recession will have kicked in. So they will stop in Q1. Recession will kick in maybe for another uh, quarter or two before the market starts to recover. But just understand what I'm saying essentially is that regardless of what the media is saying, it is um, it is a monetary or cash flow phenomenon. It's not real. I'm struggling with. I don't want to say it's not real, right? Really, right? Because that would not be, that would not be scientific. But the metrics are based on certain parameters that are sitting above a layer of reality. Sorry for that lengthy use of language, but what I'm saying is what determines whether there is recession is a set of parameters that is sitting above what is happening in reality. So when they say there's a recession, then it begins to affect what's happening in reality, even though what's happening in reality is not really, really, really like that. What happened in reality is yes, we have Ukraine war with Russia leading to great grain crisis, leading to energy crisis, but the economies are just coming back from COVID. That was a temporary and artificial shutdown. So the economy didn't wind down on its own ab initio. The economy was shut down abruptly. So now the economy is, roaring back up, but it is now coming up with another beast called inflation, which they don't want. And that's why they're trying to kill off the economy from behind, and cause this technical recession as a way of curbing inflation. So it's not a normal phenomenon. It's not like we are coming out of World War II and everywhere is decimated and supply chains are completely wiped out. Yes, those problems exist in various degrees, but that is not where we are now. All we are going through now is a monetary cycle. And by the time this cycle is over, it's people who have taken time to, I don't want to use the word so, to invest in these difficult times that will have the opportunity of reaping the benefits. Like they say, if you don't buy when the market is red, you will have nothing to sell when the market is green. So I think that's one of the first things we need to keep in mind. So yes, Dogecoin, like I said last week, a bit overbought now, not a good buy. However, in terms of long-term play, I did mention, I think I mentioned, just give me a second. I'm looking for, I'm looking for, I'm looking for the lists that I mentioned. I just want to mention it on the call for the purpose of people who are not on the WhatsApp group. So I mentioned on the call that we should watch out for layer two solutions like Matic and Metis. I mentioned Matic again tonight. I think once the midterm election is over, to be a very good time to buy Matic. I also mentioned I had something I wrote on. I can't find it. So maybe I just wrote it for some. Okay, okay. I might have written it for somebody else. But I know I did mention Matic and Metis. There are a number of NFT plays that I'm looking at their prices now, and their prices are absolutely, absolutely unbelievable. One of them is Veracity. I used to have a lot of Veracity. I probably sold them like times four, times five of the original prices. But Veracity, I think it's a very good one. It's available on KuCoin if I remember very well. Yeah, where is that stuff? On CoinGecko. Veracity is a very good one. I'm particularly fond of Veracity, but I don't know why I mentioned it now. But I think it's a very good project, and they're gaining ground. I think it's one of those silent. It's one of those. It's around 460 now on the ranking. Yeah, it's around 460 now. Let me give you context. Yeah, so Veracity was 0.00, was 0.08, or yeah, 09, as at October last year. So I actually thought it was going to go get to $1 because the way it was surging at the time. But bear in mind that total supply is about 110, and current market cap is 44 million. At some point, the market cap was like, give me a second. Yeah, it was 558. Yeah. So it's less than, so it's about 90% off its peak market cap, essentially. 95 actually from all time high. So it's 95% from all time high. What does that mean? In simple terms, all time high was 0.08, and it's still about 100% from all time low. My thesis is that it will probably get to 0.0009 or thereabouts before it starts to pick up. At that point, anybody that buys is almost like yeah, it's almost like 20x. What am I saying? It's more than 20x actually, back to all time high. But it's one to watch out for. I have it on my radar. It's one of those tokens I remember from time to time that they've not really exhausted their full potential, or they didn't fully exhaust their full potential in the last go round. So it's one to keep in mind. I'm not going to be talking about too much every time because it might be a lot to take in for people. But this one is a good project. It's shown a lot of promise, and they work with tournament platforms for subscription and whatever for gaming. So I think it's a good buy. Secondly, what was the second reason I mentioned it was actually because not only was it a good solution, it's also sitting on Ethereum. Like I said, in the month of I think that was October, Ethereum is now institutional grade digital asset. It's successfully shifted to proof of stake, which is where the institutions want it to be. What this means is that the control is more centralized. The institutions have the bulk. So apart from Coinbase and BlackRock, I don't think they are. Is it BlackRock now? I think it's BlackRock. I don't think those are the biggest validators of Ethereum right now. So they have the biggest bunch. So it's pretty much centralized, but it's going to give a lot of interest to institutional investors. So just for reference, the reason I mentioned Ethereum is because I mentioned Veracity is on Ethereum network. Anything that is on Ethereum network or on the Binance Chain network has the potential to do anywhere between 10 and 50x of its current price by the end of 2024. Of course, it's not a financial advice like everybody says, but it's just common sense. And I'll explain why. Let me zoom out on this to quickly chat. So this is the price history of Ethereum. This is the bull run before the last, which is 2017, 2018. This is where we are now. So we are pretty much testing the peak, and that's why the market has not been able to successfully go down. Worst case scenario here, and I don't think it might not happen except if Bitcoin really dips. It will come to around 500, but it will probably not stay there before it keeps going up. Once Bitcoin makes a U-turn, this will definitely start going back up. Now, if you were to plot this, let me take this out for a second. If we were to plot this on the pure impulse correction impulse criteria and take the peak as the first impulse, what we are saying is that this is a temporary bottom for Ethereum, and if that holds true, then in the next bull run, the minimum Ethereum will do is 7,800. Minimum 7,800 from where we are now is, yeah, it's about 5x. So that's Ethereum 5x from where we are now. As I like I said, I'm still waiting a bit lower. I'm still waiting for Ethereum to come down to like 500 for maximum entry. But even if you enter now, which is around 1.5 or 1.6, it is still going to be 5x from the peak price. And of course, I mean, it could go beyond 5x. It could go to 8K or 10K because it's now quote unquote deflationary. So because of this, everything that's sitting on the Ethereum network will start popping once this starts happening. Every single token that's valid and legit, that has community, that has use case, will start popping. Same thing with BNB. BNB is even on another BNB is on another trajectory because BNB is like I don't even know what to call it. It's like a meteorite that is growing because now it keeps occupying space in the crypto world in terms of adoption and use. So it's getting into institutions, you know, buying up smaller crypto companies, buying up exchanges, buying up, different stuff. Now they're talking about, looking at buying up banks because I mean they do have a lot of money. And I understand, they even gave what's his name? Elon Musk 500 million in his acquisition of Twitter. So yeah, BNB is going to really, really, in fact, let me look. I thought I had a BNB chart here. Yeah, so this is BNB. Regardless of all the mess that has happened to Bitcoin in recent days, it's stood firmly. And again, if you took the peak of last year as the recent peak, what we're saying is that yeah, BNB is actually in a stronger position. What we're saying is that BNB is going to get to 1,120. 1,120 from here is around almost 4x, but it could exceed that very easily. But that's the minimum I expect BNB to do at the peak of the next bull run. Of course, I think the next bull run is going to be a lot faster because the market sort of expects what to happen. The market sort of knows that okay, the market is going to pop. Except the only reason why I think that the bull run may extend is if it's happening around the same time that the world economy is just recovering. That's the only reason I see the bull run extending beyond the one we have now. But yeah, but that's the way I see it. Having said that, I think I'm going to stop here for today. A note of caution for people on security of their wallets. I know a lot of people have been getting messages to sign up for this, sign up for that. Please, as much as possible in this period, try to open a separate email account and a separate web wallet or phone wallets for any of these freebies or sign ups going on. And there's valid reason for that. Some people use these freebies as phishing attacks, not immediate phishing attacks, by the way. They're like time bombs, long-term traps that will be set, and they might like they did for some guys' accounts in 2021. They might send you a token, and you think you can cash the token because you see the price on the token. Then you go to Uniswap. Once you interact with the contract that it has the token, it just drains your account. So be careful, and try to separate your freebies account or your receivables from your payables, if I may use that word. Essentially, what I'm saying is try to operate like the rich. Like somebody was telling me that wealthy people have accounts for everything. Highly sophisticated wealthy people, they have an account. So even in their bank account, they have like 20 accounts, additional accounts, and each of those accounts is for specific stuff, such that if they move money from here, if this one is for clothing, this one is for accommodation, if this one is for transport, they know which of the accounts belong to what. Why am I saying this? It might be helpful if you have one wallet that is long term holding, one wallet that is medium term, and one wallet that is short term. Or you might have one wallet for each token, depending on how meticulous and how pedantic you are as a person. But I think it's important that you keep that in view. Um, yeah, that's all I wanted to say for today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. If you have any questions on Zoom, please pop your question in the chat or unmute your mic. If you have any question on Instagram, you can just type in your question and I'll answer it. Otherwise, I'm happy to let you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Dr. Lalere, your
Thank
mic.
you, Dr. Yeah, good evening, Dr. David. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to ask your own thinking about the mask, because I read somewhere that probably um, Twitter may come up with a paid services in the future, and that they will be using either BNB, uh, um, this Dogecoin, and the mask to pay.
Must.
So I don't know. Yeah,
What's the,
MAS,
can you type the name of the token you just mentioned?
yes, MASK,
MASK.
yes, yes.
Is that not the token that they said belongs to MetaMask?
And the token, I mean, it did about maybe 300 or 400 S in the last 5 days.
MASK.
Yeah,
This one.
yeah, yeah. I'm going to coin market cap.
This one.
Yes,
Okay.
just try to check. It moved in the last, but me, I made about 75%. The last,
To be honest,
so
I've been very busy with
yeah,
all the stuff.
it's actually a social network or something like that. I don't know. I read about that. I just want to be sure that
Okay.
probably what they are saying is true.
Okay.
It's a social network.
I'll have a look at
But
it.
help us research about it and let's know what's going on.
Yeah, I'll have a look
But,
at it. And,
yeah.
because when it came out, um, what I was initially thinking was that it was the token for MetaMask when Mask originally came out. But MetaMask did not say anything about it, so I just felt that okay, maybe it's just one of those things. But yeah, it's come from $30 to 4. Yeah, I'll look into it. I'll get back to you
All
later.
right.
I'll look
Thank
into
you,
it.
sir.
No problem. Okay. 100 million filtered operations for those. Interesting. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Do have a lovely weekend ahead and see you again next week.
Thank you.